So I left on a Friday and I had to get to Midway. And from where I live now, that's a drive. So I got up really early, got ready. I was starting to get ready. I had most of my stuff packed, but still a couple of things I had to throw together. And as I'm getting ready, I take my dog out, make sure he gets a little bit of exercise, bring him back in. I'm looking at the weather and I'm like, this doesn't look great. Then it starts to like thunder a little bit and I'm like, shit. So I'm trying to get as much stuff as I can together. Now I will be heading east, which means if I can get in the car fast enough, I would have been ahead of the storm, Typically that's how it works. I've been doing this drive my whole life. But I didn't manage it. So I get in the car. I have to go get gas. That's when it started to rain. Who cares? A little bit of rain. Been driving in rain my whole life. Whatever. In case you didn't know. And just so that you're aware, the road surfaces are the most dangerous the first 30 minutes that it rains. I don't know if it's just because they haven't really absorbed a lot of the water. The water's still sitting on top or what, but that was on a driver's test. So I'm always, extra cautious. Drive the speed limit or a little below. Do what you gotta do. You still gotta be on the road. So I get to driving. Within about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's so bad that I can't see anything. So I'm like, whatever, just follow the car in front of me. When it's that bad that you're just like, I just am like, not, you can't be too close to the car in front of you. Because if they break, you're done. But you want to be able to see them so that you can stay in your lane and stuff. And then some semis don't give a shit. So they're just blazing past you and kicking up all kinds of extra rain at you when your visibility is already trash. And that happens. It's actually scary. So I stay locked in as long as I can, but it gets so bad that I have to pull over twice. And the rest areas are just full of people just waiting till there's some visibility. I had to get out, run in to use the bathroom. I was soaked, and being soaked in jeans is awful. My shoes were soaked. It was the first time that I wore my Adidas Mary Janes. Trashed them. Like I could feel the water in my shoes. And I had to sit like that all day in soaked clothes, soaked jeans, soaked shoes. It took forever, to dry out. Then I was freezing too. I had like a long sleeve, kind of silk-ish button up. I don't know what the actual fabric was. It's supposed to be like a cooling fabric. Anyways, I'm worried that I'm not even gonna make it. I'm glad I was like, I'm gonna allow myself plenty of time. So I'm texting because me, my mom, my sister were all flying out of different airports to get there. And I'm letting them know, like, this is really bad. Like, this is a struggle to make this happen. I'm scared. They're like, well, drive safe. I'm like, okay, I am, but I don't know what else to do. That went on for 100 miles. From when it started pouring and I was concerned about visibility to when it finally let up. That was 100 miles. The rest of the drive was fine. I made it to Midway and I had to look up the cheapest lot to park in. So I found a lot that was $14 a night, which sounds great, but it does go by hours. So when you cross over, whatever. Okay, so I parked at that lot, and the shuttle for that, it's super cheap, so it makes sense. The shuttle for that will only take you to the front of their own lot. It doesn't take you to the airport or anything. So it takes you to the front of their lot. And then there was actually a girl standing right shuttle. And she's like, does that take us to the actual airport? And I said, it doesn't. We have to go. It's confusing. So I have to go over to like the bus / train station. You go inside of that. You go up. And then you just keep following like all the arrows and stuff to get to the airport. Now I've only done this. I haven't done this in years, so it's still relatively like I don't know what I'm doing, you know. But the girl, you know, she was younger, and we got through it, and then we parted ways. And she's like, she was going to Albany. She was from Wisconsin going to Albany. Real sweet girl. Okay, so anyway, get to Midway. It's time to, you know, check. I only ever travel with a carry-on. I never check a bag. Usually I travel in a book bag, and I could have, but I didn't know what I wanted to buy while I was there. So I had a carry-on, which I used the brown bag that Ida gave me. I've used that as a carry-on several times. And then I had a tiny international size carry-on, which is the small carry-ons. And get through. I always get that thing where they scan your face and they're like, you gotta remove your glasses, you gotta remove your hat. Okay, some people could just nope. I always have to take everything off to get through that part. And the lines weren't long or anything. Checked my bag or put my bags through the X-rays. There was one worker there that was such a freaking turd. Okay, just the way he was talking to people, I was like, who the do you think you are? He wasn't even in my line. I was watching him talk to the other line like that. Like this guy. You know, you can really tell when somebody has never had any power in their entire life, and they get a job that they can exert a little bit of direction, and they just take it to extremes. Like, don't let this guy into any, you know, he should not be a cop, he should not be a soldier, he should not be a teacher, he should not. He's over there like, whose bags? I said whose bags are these? Oh, so now they're nobody's bags. Yeah. Like, imagine working with him. Whatever, I get through. I do have to get the, I think it's because my watch has a full magnetic band. I had to get like my upper body checked, pull my sleeves up, stuff like that. Whatever. And then I went to go have a meal because I was starving at this point. I had 2 hard-boiled eggs in the morning. So I went to, I don't know, I can't remember what the restaurant's called. I've ate there before. And I ordered the bruschetta. Didn't look at what's on the bruschetta or anything. The bruschetta arrives and it's got some kind of cream on it. It didn't taste like butter or cheese. I don't know what it was. But I'm starving. So I eat it, and of course, it gave me the worst stomachache for the whole freaking day. And that's not fun to fly with. Whatever. I get to my spot. Oh no, my gate was not the gate. They had switched gates. So I get there and it said something, and I'm like, oh shit, am I doing this wrong? So I asked the guy, he's like, oh, they moved it over. I was like, okay. So I go sit down, and I do have a little bit of time to just chill. I think I got a Dunkin' too. This was like the trip of Dunkin' Donuts. I didn't know how much they like Dunkin' out there. So anyways, get on the plane. I'm trying to think of my flight there. Oh, I was in a exit row seat, which was nice because you have extra leg room, right? And I was just sitting by one lady. She was quiet. I was quiet. Perfect, right? Except I had the aisle seat, which I can take any seat. I do prefer a window seat for sleeping. And I was so tired, but I could not sleep. I can't sleep in an aisle seat. So I read the graphic novel for The Road, and I shouldn't have done that because The Road is actual horror. Like, that is one of the scariest books, movies. This, like, the feeling that you get for that guy and his son. It's absolute horror. I don't know what I was thinking. But I had my Kindle colors off, so I'm like, let's do a graphic novel. Oh, I have The have so many freaking things. I knew it was gonna give me heartburn, which it did. So we ate, we took a little walk, went back to the hotel and kind of laid down because at that point it was 10:30, and for me, I go to bed at earlier than that. So we get some sleep. I have heartburn all through the night, even though I took my meds. It's just too late for me to eat. Get up, and my sister wanted to have breakfast at Red's. So we get ready, get in the Uber, head down to Salem again. That's where we ate the first night, was in Salem. Our hotel was like a little bit off. And we ate at Red's. It was really good. I got mushroom and cheese omelet. You know, it wasn't really good. I am spoiled by omelets. I like my omelets fluffy. And their omelets are more of like a sheet of egg, if that makes sense. It was still really good, but I like my area's omelets better. Potatoes were really good. It was packed. I just clicked a little. It was absolutely packed. And they're bringing in the dough there. So we had our little breakfast. And then we started walking around. All the shops were open at that point. So we're like just walking around. We did, 3 or 4 shops. My main goal was to see a psychic while I was there. And my sister wanted to too. Now the first psychic that we walked into was $140 minimum. I'm like, man, I'm not complaining about your prices. That's just not in my budget right now. Plus, I think you had to get an hour, and I was like, we can't get an hour while people are waiting on, no. We ended up finding a place down the street that was $50 for 15 minutes. I was like, that'll do. So we booked our appointments, did some more shops, we did a trolley tour. Takes you around, tells you about the history, shows you this beach area. There was like 4 people on this beach. It was straight up, to me it looked like parking lot gravel. I was like, that beach does not look enticing. That particular one, I don't know what it was called. But I was like, I'm glad we didn't think that was going to be on our agenda. Got to see the coast, the boats, all that stuff. They point out some good places to eat. They even pointed out Red's, but we had already been there, And the time that we were supposed to see our psychics was like 2:30, so like when it came to 1:30, we were hungry for lunch. So we went to a rooftop place that I don't remember the name of, and they had traditional lobster rolls, no pork. So I got to get my lobster roll, and it was delicious. Actually, me and my sister split it because our dinner was at 5:15. So we split a lobster roll and fries. My mom got chips and salsa and guac and all that. She didn't get like a full meal, and that was also really good. It was great. So we get done with that. It's time to go to our psychic. My psychic appointment was at 2:30, and I think my sister's was 2:45. So I did mine, and then my sister did hers right after me. And my mom was kind of just wandering, waiting for us. And it was great. Like, I'm not going to repeat everything the psychic told me, but she told me some stuff about work and then some stuff about my kids that was pretty good. I don't know. It was fun. And my sister came out. What did we do after that? We had our dinner reservation, so I think we just kept going into shops. And at a certain point, I was like, I'm sick of these shops. I'm sick of these shops. I keep seeing the same overpriced stuff, as any tourist area has, but I was over it. And so she goes, well, there's supposed to be a garden somewhere, so we found this garden. And we sat down. We finally found benches. There is no benches in Salem. Almost no benches. Finally found some benches in this garden, and we just sat there for 45 minutes. Because we had been walking all day long. So we sat there, and we just kind of looked at the garden, chatted a little bit. We also hit up a bookstore, and I got 2 books. And I had no tote. They don't give you bags, and I had no tote bag. So my mom had a tote bag, my sister had a tote bag. So they each carried one for me, which I felt bad about. But, I mean, they were just little paperback books. is a male, led by a male witch, and he starts with like